snacks, and so on and so forth. To continue, we also have be aware of your location. So as much as possible, there should be, this is in relation to the no distraction rule. As much as possible, your surroundings should have the appropriate decor. Then, of course, eliminate background noise as much as possible. If there are heavy machineries na nag-andar sa atong background, i-turn off sa nato for the meantime because this particular webinar will only span until 3:30 p.m. So kung na mga kanding, mga kabaw nga nakatugway dira sa inyong kwarto, itugway nato sa gawas. Okay? And then, of course, consider the lighting. You want to eliminate the background light from the window so that you won't appear as a silhouette. So dapat untana makita na nga tong lovely faces. Pero later on, we will be giving specific instructions with regards to the video setting para po ma-optimize po ang ating webinar. And then, of course, selectively mute. As much as possible, you shouldn't turn on your microphone unless you are told to do so or unless the floor is given to you. Okay po? So I guess everybody is ready for the conduct of this activity. So to continue with the official opening of our activity, let us first have our opening prayer. This will be done by Ma'am Lizette Gwendolyn Timore, the school nurse of SGOD Health and Nutrition Section. This will be followed by the corresponding attendance recognition by the same person. Ma'am Gwen, you have now the floor.
Thank you, Sir Zen. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, source of life and of everything good, we thank you for your love and presence in our lives. We thank you for keeping us safe from all kinds of harm up to this very moment. As we strive to continue to be of service amidst this pandemic, we ask you to protect and guide us. Overtake contact and please provide us with your wisdom and give us perseverance that we may hurdle any trial that may come along the way. Please always make us one in our endeavors for the institution and for the people it serves. Please bless our activity this afternoon. Please make it fruitful and meaningful for everyone who is here today. Lastly, we ask you to be with us and our families always. May your loving kindness and peace reign in every one of us. All this we ask and thank you through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, proceeding further with the attendance recognition. For the information of everyone, those who have successfully signified their attendance in the chat box are highlighted in bold. So once again, those who have successfully signified their attendance are highlighted in bold. And for the additional information to everyone, there are some districts na tulukabok ang personalities. It's because some of the PSDSs will not be attending the respective webinar in the upcoming days. So they have already imposed kung kinsay puli nila if they will not be able to attend, because we all know that the district supervisors are kind of busy right now because of the module production. So take it away, Ma'am Gwen, to continue.
Okay. Hearty afternoon, everyone. For the attendance recognition, I am going to read the names of those who signified to be here in this webinar today. You may use the chat box for your respective hearty responses. All right? So to start, Buena Vista 1, we have Mr. Arnold C. Solen and Ma'am Fatima May Angay Ma'am Nelsie G. Aricayos. For Buena Vista 2, Ma'am Esther Go Sanoria and Ma'am Venice Navarro Tagle. Buena Vista 3, Bernardita Q. Moreno and Vilma G. Lariosa. Buena Vista 4, Danilo N. Bahaw, Alma G. Pulgo, and Ma'am Ana Calva. Buena Vista 5, Elma Madelo, Rosemary G. Sausal. Carmen 1, Adelaida S. Pacon, Miriam Anuncio, Grisa A. Abaday. Carmen 2, Delphine J. Gumadlas Jr., Carmelita M. Gumadlas, Annalisa Banning. Habonga 1, Juvie Suson, Arlene D. Pagara, Farafil D. Cervantes. Habonga 2, Eliasa M. Montante, Jessie T. Pedolin, Kicharao North, Charito M. Bermijo, Rosenda
Excuse me, ma'am.
Kicharao South,
Susan Boy.
Jenna R. Everlyn M. Biaso. For Las Nieves 1, Victor P. Labastilla and Editha B. Sinesa. Las Nieves 2, Maria Teresa D. Serrano, Lovely Chin D. Radaza. Las Nieves 3, Marilyn C. Arrogancia and Lucilda B. Tabuco. Magallanes, Annabel Son and Juliet P. Nakaituna. Nasipit East, Danilo M. Felias and Ira Rosie Cabaron. Nasipit Northwest, Julia G. Costas, Alimyon P. Montederamos. Nasipit West, Gineth S. Sicote and Rochelle S. Aquino. RTR, Rowena M. Buok and Gurley Del Rosario. Santiago, Marivic M. Garillo, Jeffrey T. Asierto. For 2x1, Gina S. Bagayas, Sheena Ives N. Dumadag, and Lovely M. Longakit. And lastly, but definitely not the least, Maria Victoria N. Gamutan and Arlen Lubang. And of course, we have our energetic and hearty personnel from the Health and Nutrition section for this afternoon's webinar. So that's all for my task this afternoon. Then,
Okay, thank you for that, Ma'am Gwen. Teka lang po. Check ko pa sa... Ayan. Okay, thank you for that, Ma'am Gwen. May check po kasi ako sa slides. So for those who have not yet signified their attendance or siguro may lapse lang po sa pagkakabasa ko kanina sa chat box, you may habol po sa kung sino po yung hindi pa po nakabold yung mga pangalan. Pero later on po, after the conduct of the activity, there will be a Google form in which that will be the one that is based for the certificates that will be given for the attendees. Okay? So, ihabol nyo lang po, signify your name and your district sa chat box. Thank you. Okay. So moving on further, today is day 1, and the main topic for this particular day is I Heart School Health, Mind Over COVID Matters. Mind setting AGNOR schools for a new normal school year. So our topics for today are the following: I Heart School Health, the basic guidelines and legal basis for the conduct of the activity. This will be presented by yours truly, Zenon G. Hernandez, school nurse. And the second topic for the day is the main topic, which is I Heart School Health, Mind Over COVID Matters, Mind Setting AGNOR schools for a new normal school year. This will be conducted and facilitated by Loverose Joy R. Antigua and Rosanna G. Duran, which is respectively the Mental Health and YFC Coordinator and ARHE and ARY Coordinator. So, huwag na tayong patumpik-tumpik. So let's move on further with the first topic of the activity. This will be a very short one, and the second topic will then follow. So the basic guidelines and legal basis for the conduct of the activity. Of course, daghan man siguro na tingala sa ato ang nganong naata diri sa atong particular activity. So this particular presentation will narrate the reason why we are all gathered here. So first off, mag-history sa ta. Let's take a walk down memory lane before we proceed on further. So, right now we are experiencing the new normal because of the COVID pandemic. So where did it start? It started in Wuhan, China. When it started on November and December 2019. On the 30th of January 2020, the Philippine Department of Health reported the first case of COVID-19 in the country with a 38 years old female Chinese national. And on March 7, the first local transmission of COVID-19 was confirmed. Okay. Going on further, on the 15th day of March 2020, the President of the Philippines declared the state of calamity due to the coronavirus pandemic through Proclamation number 929. So as you can see, up until now, we are still in the state of pandemic. So this will, through the said proclamation, it will last for at least a period of 6 months, and it is renewable. So because of the pandemic, the Department of Education has sought to push on different initiatives that will help us adjust to the new normal that is currently happening right now. So to recap po, may 5 policy directives na po ang na-establish ng DepEd Central Office in this regard. So the first one is DM15 series of 2020, which is the first set of policy directives of DepEd Task Force and COV. This is followed by DM21 series of 2020, the second set of policy directives for the same purpose. The third one is DM23 series of 2020, which is the third set of policy directives. And the fourth set of policy directives is established as DM31 series of 2020. And the fifth one, by far, mo pa ni siya ang pinaka-latest, is DM34 series of 2020, which is the fifth set of policy directives for of DepEd Task Force COVID-19. So ultimately, on June 25, 2020, DO14 2020 was born. So it contains the guidelines on the required health standards in basic education offices and schools. So kung basahon nato in toto ang DepEd Order number 14 series of 2020, na dito tanan ang naka-indicate kung unsa ang required health standards na dapat i-adhere not only in the division office but also in schools. So gibuhat ni siya na particular standards or particular na DepEd order because they want to ensure the safe return to schools and DepEd offices when allowed by the Department of Health, the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases or IATF, or the Office of the President. DepEd issues the enclosed guidelines on the required health standards in basic education offices and schools. It is attached to this particular DepEd order as Enclosure 1 for the guidance of all learners, teachers, and non-teaching personnel nationwide. The specific measures for COVID-19 mitigation in schools and offices are detailed in Enclosure number 2 of the same memo and Enclosure number 3, respectively. So because of this particular DepEd order, the Health and Nutrition section of this division sought to create iHeart School Health in order to help our field personnel in capacitating them in readying the schools para sa upcoming opening. Not just the physical opening, but of course, apil na po dira ang the non-face-to-face opening na to sa classes, which is pohon October 5 daw as per the central office na issuance. Okay, So it is, as what I've said earlier, the iHeart School Health webinar series is based on DepEd Order number 14 series of 2020 and the division memorandum issued to this effect. So it is composed of 3 different activities that is stated to be conducted on August 18, August 19, and August 20 from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. So mauni siya ang mga topics sa atong respective days. Ang first off is karon MindOverCovidMatters, which is the rollout of mental health varying topics. This is because the first 5 school days that learners are physically present, dapat mangyud siya sila ipang debriefing, mental health ang focus po nato sa pag physically present na po sa atong mga estudyante. This is in consonance with the said stipulations as what is reflected on the screen. The next day is meant for respetiquette or respiratory health readiness and basic COVID prevention measures. So this is a rollout of COVID-19 and respiratory readiness topic because as stated in the said order, the first day of physical reporting in schools should be dapat magkondakta og COVID-19 and respiratory readiness orientation sa atong mga learners, teachers, and personnel. So it is mandated that ang tanan schools under DepEd will conduct the respiratory readiness orientation. So apil dara ang basic history sa COVID-19 and of course mga basic coughing etiquettes, etc. etc. po. And our last but not the least, third day is actually the most important, or equally important rather, is the topic known as Inside the Clinic. It is a day in the life of a school clinic in charge. So this would entail the designation and responsibilities of the school clinic in charge, in particular to the COVID-19 situation, and the mandatory allocation of rooms for specific use. So to what they are, they will be informed to us later on at the third day. So as what I've said earlier, this particular webinar is produced para matabangan ang atong mga schools in preparation for the opening of the doors for our particular of their respective schools rather. So this is the span and the time allotment for the day. So di na ako i-mention or isa-isahon. Basta ang atong time frame po is 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. po. Okay? So you may just take a photo po. Okay. So for our mode of dissemination po, iHeart School Health webinar series, ang first na to ginabuhat po is this particular activity, which is the division webinar. For the information of everyone, this particular webinar is recorded. This is because later on during the district cascading, mas easier na po ang district cascading na to. So for the division webinar, the facilitators are the division personnel and the school health personnel. Okay, atong mga kaubanan sa SGOD Health and Nutrition section. And for the participants are all district supervisors and or ilang mga respective representatives. Okay, we all know that the district supervisors right now are busy with the production of modules. And of course, all district designated health coordinators and okay sa DepEd coordinators. So mabantayan na to nga na ay uban districts na more than 2 ang atong it's because some of them will be representing the district supervisors later on. So for the district cascading, since this particular activity is already recorded, ang buhaton lang sa atong mga taga-district is to gather all of their the respective participants for their particular district and to play the recorded video, because this will be given to all of the download link for this particular videos, and all of the resource materials will be forwarded to everyone po. So that is why we ask for the functional email ad of all the okay sa DepEd coordinators sa mga districts po. So the facilitators for the district cascading is the district supervisor and the district designated health coordinators or okay sa DepEd coordinators. Tapos ato lang pod inform ang atong district nurses na mag-conduct na mo sa inyong district cascading so that he or she may attend the district cascading para kung may mga questions po ang atong mga school heads or any personalities for that matter na nag-attend, pwede po either ma-ask niya, matubag niya or ma-ask niya sa respective focal persons. So for the participants for the district cascading are all school heads under the district because of course kailangan makabalo ang tanan nato mga school heads with regards to the basic health protocols na ginamandate sa atong central office and the all school designated health coordinators or okay sa DepEd coordinator sa respective na mga eskwelahan. So, mo na siya. So mag-sched si district og district cascading and this will be facilitated by the facilitators and of course mo play sa video para uniform po ang distribution of knowledge nato. So I guess that's all po for my particular part of the activity. I will now be giving the floor to our next presenter. Palakpakan po! Virtual clap po para sa ating next presenter which is Ma'am Loveros, Joy R. Antigua, and Rosanna G. Duran. Both are school nurses under the SGOD Health and Nutrition section. They will be discussing topics under the Mind Over COVID Matters na session. So for that, I am yielding the floor to our respective speakers. Take it away po, Ma'am Love and Ma'am Osa.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Sir Zen, I will be sharing the presentation or naara ka diha?
Ikaw na lang po para dili na po, para diretso-diretso po.
Okay, saha. Mo-exit sa ka, Sir Zen? Okay. Makita na ba, Sir Zen?
Yes, Ma'am Sang. Kitang-kita po.
Okay, thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. In behalf of my partner, Ma'am Loverose Joy Antigua, who will just come later, kaya na pa siya equally important nga activity nga giadto karon. So, we will just start with our topic for this afternoon as we start our first day of iHeart School Health, Mind Over COVID Matters. So, our objectives for this afternoon, so at the end of the discussion, the participants will be able to first recall the standing school protocol on mental health for the next school year in Agusan del Norte, wherein Sir Zenon provided initially the DepEd orders that mandated us to follow the said protocol, and then to define mental health and identify early signs of possible mental health concerns and demonstrate some sample self-care exercises. So, ready na ba tanan? So, before we start, were you able to take the pre-test for the participants? Kindly feedback me na lang, Sir Zen, if na nag-answer og yes in the comment section. Naka-pre-test na ba ang uban? Or not? Not yet. Or do you have a piece of bond paper and pen with you there? Na ba? Lunch.
Yes, ma'am. Na.
Very good. So, have you have your lunch na? Kay 2 p.m. naman, no? Do you have your snacks? Ako na ko yung snacks i-prepare for myself and water. Stretch sata. Up, side, kay taas-taas pa atong istoryahan, no? About mental health. And then, deep breathing. I-practice na to perminti ang deep breathing. Exhale. Para ma-release ang tanan tension sa pag-apa sa ato ang opening of classes. Pray. So we have prayed already, no? And namaste. So to start, all throughout sa atong activity, there are embedded links sa atong activity. So please answer those naa dito sa link because after completion sa kadtong mga embedded links during the discussion, you will then receive your certificate of participation. And then we shall share the links as we go along the session. So daghang salamat. So those are for our few reminders. So for the first time, as of the moment, what comes first to your mind when you hear the words mental health? Unsa kay naas first mubutang sa atong mind when we say mental health? So please go to this link posted on the screen. Answer unsa kaha ang either word or phrases which comes to your mind when you hear the words mental health. Is it kaha positive? Is it negative? Ma'am buang. Ma'am self-care. Unsa kaha ang naa sa ato ang mind when we say mental health? What comes first on our mind? So, naka-answer na? And then, we will ask, why mental health? Unsa ka importante nganong istoryahan nato ang mental health? Ngano kaha? Please answer or post your answer to this link on your screen. HTTP na diha. Please put your answer as part sa atong mga embedded links. Unsa kaha? So when we say mental health, it is a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life. Dili i-erase ang stress sa life, no, but we need to cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community according to the definition of the World Health Organization. So again, when we say mental health, it is a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make contribution to his or her community. So when we say that every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and able to make a contribution to his or her community, that pertains that you are mentally healthy or you have a healthy well-being. So when we say every individual realizes his or her own potentials could equal to the strengths that we have. It could be internal strengths, the traits that we have, the characteristics that we have. It could be our external strengths, the family support that we have, the friends that we have, or the environment of our coworkers. That could be an external strength that we can draw upon. So question, do you know, naka-realize ba taon sa atong own strengths? What are your strengths? Naka-realize na ba ta or, ma'am, naaday ko'y strengths? Then, if you realizes already what are your strengths, please put them, aning a link, embedded link. What are your strengths as an individual or as a person? Or na anyone here ba nga wala pa ka-realize kung unsa ang ilahang mga strengths or ilahang mga potentials? Okay? So are you done? Na-realize na ba nato unsa atong mga potential as a person, as a human being? So remember that we have our own unique strengths. Dili nato siya ma-equate nga kung ingon ani ko, ingon ani siya, but because we are individual persons, we have our unique ways nga makita atong potential, na atay unique nga mga strengths. It could be that our potential or our strength is ani nga area, and it could be weak pud ka sa area nga kanang strong ang other person. So it varies individually. So munang it's good that we realize asa ato ang strengths and asa ang atong weakness nga makadraw ta to improve ourselves. Second, for the second definition, that we can cope with the normal stresses of life. Before we cope with the normal stresses of life, ato sang i-ask atong self, what do you think or what are the normal stresses of life nga imong gi-consider? Unsa kaha? It could be utang, it could be nakasakay ka og tricycle nga ang imong katapad bahog ilok. So di ba ma-stress ka? O it could be like that. So what do you consider as normal stresses in life? So by definition, stress is the body's reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or response. The body reacts to these changes with either physical, mental, or emotional responses. So it could be, pwede siya nga, kung ma-stress ka, grabe ka paningot, or magkurog ka, or dili ka katulog, it could be like that. So those are the normal responses or body's reaction to any change that requires adjustments or response. So that is called stress. So stress can either imply, it could be a situation, like di na gyud ko katog og tarong tungod aning stress, tungod aning COVID, tungod aning daghan modules i-reproduce, ya hurot na ang bond paper. Or it is your body's reaction to the situation. Na-stress ko sa COVID, dili na ko makatug og tarong. So, what do you consider as your top 5 stressors during the last 3 months? Labaw na during quarantine months, no? And up to now, we are still under quarantine. Can you put in the link posted on the screen, what are the 5 stressors during the last 3 months na experience nimo, na observe nimo, or karon pa nimo na realize? Okay. So, let us all remember, what might be stressful to you or to me may not be the same for others, and vice versa. Same with our reaction to stress. So what you're feeling is valid and normal because that is the normal reaction of your body. So munang bilita mo ana supposedly nga, ha? Ako man gani, ingon ani akong problema, wa man gani ko na kuyapan, or wala magay ko ingon ani ang gibati. Ikaw na noon nga kagamay ra sa imong problema, maghuna-huna rin kag pagtubok. So isa na siya, no, usahay normal response, but let us be kanang in a way helpful to them nga dili sila i-judge in terms of how they react with the normal stresses of life or even situations nga naa sila, because their stress might not be stressful to you, and your mga stressors sa imong life might be not stressful for them. We just need to acknowledge that those emotions, those feelings, or those reactions are valid and normal. So, di ba, with the top, kisa may nakakita na ni nga K-drama nga it's okay to not be okay. So, at times like this, it is really okay not to feel okay. Labaw na with the circumstances that we have, the abnormal circumstances, or the new normal that we have right now. So, for the third for the third component, when we say that we are mentally healthy, we can work productively and fruitfully. So for us, what are your life goals? May it be short-term or long-term. So as of now, are you able to achieve them? Those short-term or long-term goals that you have? If yes, how or why? Why not? If wala na achieve to nga mga short-term or long-term nga mga goals, why? Why not? Tungod kaha ni COVID? So please answer again on the embedded link below or posted on the screen. Or naa ba tay mga plans nga nagnigo nahimong nahimong successful or natuman despite this community quarantine that we experienced due to the pandemic? If yes, why? And if wala pod, why not? So, at this time, di ba, tungod sa kadaghan nga restrictions that we experience with the different health protocols that are implemented now due to COVID-19 pandemic, na-restrain ta to do things, to work productively and fruitfully. For example lang, in the production of modules, dili ta makaratsada og produce, it's because 50-50% ra ang mga tao nga pwede manaa sa office. So those are mga balakid of your goals to achieve the 100% production. So usually, if dili na to ma-achieve ang ato ang goals, it could cause stress, makahatag siya. But despite that, we must always remember to always be kind to ourselves. If you're not able to achieve your goals right now, you can try again. Napay another tomorrow. Because success is sweeter after failures. Always remember. And then lastly, if a person is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So, if I may ask, what is community for you? Unsa man ang community para sa imo? Ang barangay hall as a physical? Ang city hall as physical? Please answer the embedded link below. As you give description or definition for you, unsa di ay ang community? So what do you do or who you are matter. And your presence now as someone representing your PSDS or as the OKD coordinator or as someone who will implement this mental health program in the school, in the district, and in the division, your presence makes the world a beautiful place to live in. Because your presence here will help us disseminate and accomplish a lot in the coming days, especially on the for the opening of classes. So thank you for being here today. Ayaw i-belittle ang inyong self nga naara man ko perminti sa balay nag-work from home. Yes, naara ka sa balay nag-work from home. But the moment you answer your school head, your PSDS, and the diversion personnel when it comes to asking for updates and other mga status in terms sa enrollment o other na to nga mga activities, those are great contribution to the holistic community of DepEd. So please, ayaw i-belittle inyong self nga maura man ni ako ang nabuhat karong adlaw. Magtubag ra sa mga calls, magtubag ra sa mga answers. So thank you for being here with us. So, and this is simply mental health. So, akong i-repeat, according to the World Health Organization, when we say mental health, it is a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So now, we are talking about the normal situation, right? Now, let's talk about our mental health and COVID-19 pandemic. So, pila na gani ka days, pila na ka months nga nag-quarantine ta? Sa akong ma-recall, last time, second to the last nga ni adto kong division office was March 16. So, kung ingon adto nga time, gikan nag-quarantine, April, May, June, July. Hapit na ta 5 months. So, more than pila na ka days, no? So, kumusta na kahata? According to the DOH in 2005, before the pandemic, according sa statistics, 1 in 5 Filipino adults has some form of mental illness. It could be schizophrenia, anxiety disorders, depression, and most likely, kasagaran mo lead to suicide. But during the pandemic, there is a drop in meaningful activities. Why? Diba? Kay we are restricted to go outside. Drop in sensory stimuli, labaw na sa mga children, no? Di na kay sila adto outside yung makadula, and social engagement. Dili na ganita maka-handshake, dili na ta makahag, makaagbay, no direct contact. So, there is a drop in those meaningful activities and socialization engagement, including also the financial strain from being unable to work. Labaw na for those nga mga no work, no pay. So, kana sila, number 1 nga, na strain from finances nila. And then, there is also a lack of access to typical coping strategies. For example, if sa una, ang imong coping strategy is mag-window shopping, unya, unsaon naman nimo nagapagamit na nga coping strategy nga close man ang mga malls, or kung dili coding ang pagsulod sa malls. So naa isa sa nawa ang imuhang typical nga coping strategies. Kung ang imuhang ways of kanang pag-cope nimo is mag-movie. So close man ang mga movies karon, or magsuri-suri sa park. Bawal man karon nga magtapok-tapok or mo-go outside. So essentially, there is a drop of halos every activity, meaningful activities nga para nato dako siya part sa ato ang life. So as a result, there are some experiences one may have during a period of physical distancing and quarantine or isolation. So isaan na is feeling anxious or worried about self or your family contracting COVID-19. So the more nga kanang naa ang feeling nga ang kahadlok, labaw na kung magsigig basa tao sa social media, no? Unya matungnon pa gyud nga puro mga fake news atong mabasa. So the more ang ato ang worries, feeling anxious, mas nagkataas. And then with the restriction of kanang pakig-istorya or pakiglambigit sa uban, since we are social being, makadugang pa gyud siya sa ato ang mga worries. And then, due to the quarantine also, concerns about obtaining food and personal supplies, especially for those nga kanang wala no work, no pay, or walay madawat nga sweldo, kana siya, dako po na siya nga concern. Taking time off work or fulfilling family care obligations, o maghuna-huna tanong nga, hala, nindot man ang work from home, but I tell you, it's more challenging to have that work alternative nga naa sa work from home. Labaw na kung if you have toddler, nga kung mag-atubang lang kag laptop, mag-wild, kay gusto siya makigdula perminti nimo because ang ilang mindset, when you're at home, it equates to play. So nga nung nag-laptop man si mama ug si papa nga work from home, so isa na siya no sa kanang need i-balance kung naataan ni nga time. And then, sleep or eating issues tungod sa quarantine, it could be mag-oversleep ta or usahay di nakatulog tungod sa mga balita. And ang tendency, either we overeat tungod kay lack ta of energy kay way tulog gabi, so we overeat atong i-compensate ato ang stress to eating, or usahay di na pud wala nay gana mo kaon. So these are results during the pandemic. Feelings of sadness, low mood, boredom, and loneliness. Labaw na kung ang imuhang day-to-day nga activity dili na nimo ma-follow, wala na nato na usually do. And then it could be na we can feel anger. Community mag-enhance quarantine na pud na. Oh, so naa ang anger, frustration, kanus man ni mahuman. Wala naman sir ni kahumanan ning COVID. So na ang irritability, ang kaning gobyerno gyud, pulpul gyud na apod ana no. And then there is also this big problem on stigmatization, wherein despite feeling those mga red flags or mga nasinati nato nga mag-need na ta musik og help, di ta musulti kay no basig kung moingon ko nilang ma'am ani basig ingnon ko nga nabuang naman siguro ni si ma'am kay nangutana na mag-number sa psychologist, nangutana na mag-number sa psychiatrist. So there is this stigmatization when we talk about mental health, or kung naatay mga ma-feel sa ato ang paminaw nga dili na normal during the situation, we have this fear nga basig i-label ta as buang or paingon mabuang. So hopefully isa pod na sa atong gusto nga ipa-clear with this webinar, to be aware of our own self and to be aware if we need help. And it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. So, furthermore, unsa day ang other nato na nga mga dapat natong makuan, mahibaw-an about sa experiences of a person during the pandemic. So, di ba, during the PSS for play, it is said that children experiences the following during the pandemic. So, for children, nag-edad og 0 to 3 years old, they sometimes can retain memories. Labaw na katong memories nga balik-balik nga about sa kaning sa experiences karon, usahay mo nang it's not good nga ato silang hadlok-hadlokon on certain things, but let us provide them with the right information kay usahay mo ni mo tatak sa ilaha ang kadtong gihadlok-hadlok nato. For example, ragod anang paggamit nato sa mga nurses. Hala sige, mugawas ka, pa-injectionan ta ka sa nurse. Hala sige, mugawas ka, ipadampot ka sa pulis, ana no. Usahay mura ni ma-retain sa ila ang fear. So mo nang it's good nga to provide them with the right information unsay reason nganong di sila pwede mapagawas. And during this pandemic, tungod ana nga experiences sa mga bata na dili na sila kaayo kagawas, they become more clingy and mostly cry a lot because crying is their language. Kung kita as an adult, ang atong language is magyaw-yaw, for children, it is normal for them to cry a lot. Labaw na kung makasinati sila og stressful nga situation. And then sometimes they have these changes in their sleep and eating patterns. For example, kung na-use ang bata nga matulog hapon, usay ma-change siya, pwede siya mautro, including ang eating pattern sa bata. For children aged 4 to 6 years old, these are their common responses during the pandemic. One is to regress to younger behaviors such as thumb sucking, or kanang magpabibi-bibi, magpamihi-mihi, kanang muburas lag mo balik to pagka-baby. And then sometimes they become inactive or either hyperactive depending kung previously unsa siya. Kung hyperactive siya sa una, as a result, usahay ma-inactive siya, or kung sa una inactive siya, usahay ma-hyperactive siya. And then they feel anxious, irritable, and experience sleep disturbances including nightmares, daman-damanon or damgo-damguhon. And then for children aged 7 to 12 years old, their level of physical activity changes. Labaw na, kay di naman pwede makaatos gawas, no? So, usahay, they tend to engage na lang sa computer, sa laptop, sa cellphone, and then, sometimes, they withdraw from social contact and feel and express fear and experience self-blame and guilt. Labaw na if kanang dugay-dugay na gyud nato sila na wala sila naka hakhalubilo og other people. And then, let us just remember that these feelings and experiences during this time are all valid and normal. Which of these have you experienced personally? Real talk. Sa katong atong mga na-discuss, among sa mga ma-experience sa usa ka adult, among sa mga ma-experience sa mga bata, unsay na inyong nakita nga na-observe po ninyo sa inyong mga anak. Naa ba? Katong irritability, anger, naa ba tay? Or one thing lang, paki-comment lang daw kuno sa comment section. Any one of us diri nga mga 2 weeks na nga walay tulog tarong. Naabi nag-answer Sir Zen? Mga 2 weeks na walay tulog tarong?
Wala.
Wala
Wala
so
pa, ma'am.
far.
Yes, po.
Okay. Okay. Maayo. Because this time, 'di ba? Ma'am, kag ingon ma'am nga it's normal nga dili ka maka-feel ay it's normal to nga ingon adto akong bation kay normal reaction sa ako ang sa stressful event or sa pandemic resulta sa pandemic. Unsa di ay ang mga things nga i-remember nato kung dili na siya normal when it is not normal, and we need to refer, or we need to have that specialized care for management of feelings or proper diagnosis and treatment. So kanus adi ay. So you may take note of this. Laban ako na experience nato ni personally or ato ni siyang nakita sa atong mga friends. Pero dili ta mo anahang, hala friend, kuan gyud ay kanung depressed jud kanung kay mao gyud. It's not that. But you ask your friend, or kung ikinsa imong kailang, friend, do you need help? Unsa akong matabang. So, dili ni nato ihatag ni siya nga mga observable nato nga mga experiences or observable na mga manifestations sa usa ka tawo to diagnose, because we are not legally mandated to diagnose, but at least maka-help ta maka-assess kung kinsa tong nag-need og help. So first, number 1 gyud nga atong tan-awon is if katong dili ta maka-sleep, either oversleeping or unable to sleep persist beyond a couple of weeks or 2 weeks, that is already a red flag. Remember ha? Red flag na nang dili ra mo ingon nga ay nag-insomnia raman ko ma'am, but ay naagi na something beyond that nganong dili ka katulog. It could be ang katong mga apasunon, but it could be another thing. That's why need na to na siya musik og professional help. If ni persist na siya nga every day for the last 2 weeks or beyond, mao na ang iyahang gibati. Persist to the point where you are not able to carry out the home or work-related activities for your goals. Okay. Wait, ano naman to? Isa sir ha, kay murag nagka-technical problem ko. Sorry po. Akong napindot. So, sorry. Mao ni isa sa mga kanang glitches when we have our virtual activity, right?
Yes.
So let's be kind to ourselves again. Smile and deep breathe. Part na yun ni siya. So that's part of our mental self-compassion or kanang mental health nga care nga dawaton lang yun nato nga nay usahay atong presentation mag-una sa atong gistorya. So second, no, if there is a persist to the point where you are not able to carry out the home or work-related activities or your goals, even as simple as hygienic practices, kanang dili na ka maligo, wala na kay gana maligo, or di na halos mukaon, o isa na siya sa mga tan-awono nato, labaw na mo persist na siya og pila ka weeks or days, accompanied by intense feeling of despair or hopelessness or suicidal thoughts, kanang mo ana nga ay may pag ma-end na lang ning tanan para mahuman na pud ning kakapoy, or there's a thought to harm other people. So it is said that more than 60% of people with mental health problems and mental illness won't seek the help they need. Nga naman, katong ato ang last bitaw, no? Stigmatization, because stigma is one of the main reasons kaya di sila gusto ma-label as mauni, di sila gusto nga mahibawan nga mauni, mo nang usahay later on makahibaw na lang ta humana. Oo. So manang we are encouraging as mental health advocates nga dili ta maulaw to seek help. Labaw na mapasalamaton ta with the Agusan del Norte province because we naagyud day agency kung asa ta pwede makapa-refer if we need referral. So, if you need help, don't hesitate to contact your district nurses or any of the AGNOR division nurses and health personnel. We are here to listen and to help. So what can teachers do to care for their mental health during these times? Kay ma'am, ingon ka ma'am, kuan na ma'am, normal ra gyud ay ni, pero unsaon man namo nga ma-maintain namo ang amuang kaning ma-maintain namo nga healthy amo ang mentalidad or well-being as a person despite this situation. So first, we need to acknowledge what we are feeling. Ay, na-hurt jud ko sa giingon ni ma'am. Kay tinuod man pud ay no, kanang naglangan-langan pud ay ko, na late ko. So acknowledge unsa imong na-feel. And then practice mindfulness and breathing exercise. So later on maghatag tag mga exercises that will help us to be mindful or be aware of ourselves, including katong breathing exercise. And then third, catch and modify maladaptive coping behaviors. What are those nga gina-consider nato nga maladaptive coping? Kanang consuming of kanang alcohol, kana siya, or clinging to cigarette smoking kung ma-stress. Those are maladaptive coping because yes, makahatag siya gratification nimo nga mura kag ma-relieve, but your body, ang imuhang body maoy luoy. So you can modify them by, for example, instead of drinking alcohol, you can take 15 minutes walk. Oh, pwede naman maka-walk ron no, basta dili lang wala lang kay kauban. Yes, kana siya makatabang na siya, adaptive na siya, maayo normal na siya na kanang coping behaviors. Unlike those mag-consume og alcohol, mag-consume og kaning mga tambal para makatulog, those are not healthy coping behaviors. Fourth is to engage in activities that you enjoy doing. For example, if you have time nga feel nimo naglabad na imong ulo tungod sa sige atubang sa computer, why not kung hilig kag drawing, mag-draw sa kakadali for 15 minutes lang. O ana, dako na siya nga changes nga mahatag sa imong mental well-being. Or musayaw, muzumba kung ganahan ka mag-zumba, or mukanta, bahalag yabag. Yes, it's therapeutic. And then 5 is plan for future activities. Why planning? Kung mag-plan man good ka, you have this sense of control on things that you can control. Kaya usually, people are stressed when kanang naay situations nga out of our control, but we must understand that there are things nga naingan ana. But if naay things nga makakontrol ta, di balhin siya iya, I don't know why. So, but if na are things like, for example, activities for tomorrow, you can jot down unsa di ang akong i-accomplish una, ang pagprint ba sa aral panlipunan, ang pagprint ba sa kani ug kana. So at least that will give you that, doing that list can give you the sense that you are still in control out of this uncontrollable situation. Okay. Okay. So unsay requirement when we take care of our mental health? Unsay pinakadako diha? It's SELF. It's our self. Dili ato ang silingan, dili atong boss, dili ang ato ang superior ang makatabang og take care sa ato ang mental health, but us. We are in control of our own mental health. And we must remember that helping others starts with helping oneself. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. If said na ka, unsa pa may imong mahatag nga kindness. Instead siguro nga kindness no, kanang pabalik ka siguro imong mahatag, init na kaya imong ulo, aburido, pero pa-reporton gihapon ka, bitaw, sample lang na, no? So it's something na dapat within you, punong-puno ka sa need nga naa sa imuhang self before ka mo extend outside. Kay kung mo na kasi ginalang, kay selfish man pud kung unahon nako kung self, it's not selfish to prioritize yourself. Labaw na kung ang basic needs ang kinahanglan. So self-care as a whole, need naa siya balance aning tulo kabutang. The connection, it could be connection sa ato ang sa people around us or with our body, with ourself, awareness kung nanabay nanakit nga part sa atong likod or asang party sa atong lawas. The feeling of pleasure, na-enjoy ba ta sa atong gibuhat? Na-enjoy ba mo diha sa inyong pagpaminaw? Kung kana siya, balansi ba? And then, the sense of achievement. Dapat, when we say self-care, ang kaning connection, pleasure, and achievement, balansi na siya na ato ang i-provide sa ato ang self. Kay for example, atong pleasure is inclination to alcohol. In effect, sa atong lawas, makahatag ba siya balance sa atong lawas? No. Because makadaot siya. Or smoking, ano siya. So, we must find something that is pleasurable, that can also give kanang good health sa ato ang body. Same with overeating. Same with other kanang mga excessive nga mga pleasurable activities. Same anang maghigdaay ra sa couch or sa bed the whole day. Para nato self-care siya. But actually, it's harmful because we need to move from time to time. So, with that, dapat balance siya. Nga dili lang nga sa usa lang kaka-aspeto mo kanang magpabilin. So, remember, sa self-care, we identify this contra-COVID simple self-care tips for AGNOR colleagues. So, remember lang self-care, S-E-L-F. So, for S, self-encouragement. So, we must start our day with mental toughness by saying good things to ourselves. So, isa ni siya sa mga favorite namo na mga mental self-regulating exercises nga gi-provide sa PGCA during sa seminar. So, you can start your day by upon waking up, pwede ka musit sa chair, pwede ka magbarog, you close your eyes, and then you think of positive words or positive word na gusto nimo i-remind sa imong self. For example, it's a good day today. I am blessed. Kayang-kaya nako ni. So when we do the mental toughness activity, dili atong words sa mouth atong gamiton, but the mind. Ang atong mind mo'y paistoryahon nato adtong mga positive words nga gusto nato i-remind sa atong selves. So, for 3 minutes, imo na siyang ibalik-balik sa imong mind. Kayang-kaya nako ni. Kayang-kaya nako ni. Kayang-kaya nako ni. Because eventually, this mental toughness activity will help you labaw na katong mga naay nagdevelop bitaw og kanang negative thoughts daan nga dali ra kaayo mubutang og negative thoughts sa mind. This mental toughness exercise will help us kanang divert from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. So by starting our day with that positive things about ourselves, it will help us also to be productive in a positive way. Kaya di ba? Unsay mo sulod sa atong mind, mo po ni mo reflect sa atong emotion ug eventually mo ay atong mapakita sa atong actions. So we should start with a mental toughness by saying good things to ourselves. Second, embrace yourself literally. Do butterfly hugs. Kinsa may naka-familiar sa butterfly hug sa it's okay not to be okay. So, di ba? Oh. This is also called, kung sa self-compassion pa ni siya, this is also called the soothing touch. It could be here, it could be sa imong heart, it could be sa imong lap, it could be sa imuhang cheeks. Sige daw, atong buhaton, kaning pag-embrace sa ato ang self literally. Left and right. So, itap na to. Ang una, right, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. How does it feel? Kano sa ang last time nga gi-embrace nato literally atong self? Kano sa ang last time nga atong gi-touch ato ang cheeks? Kano sa ang last time nga gi-embrace nato ato ang self? So, di ba, nice sa feeling nga i-embrace. Oo. So, this gives self-assurance pod, no? And makatabang siya nga more relax ka. So, motto sa embrace yourself literally by doing butterfly hugs. Familiar nis mga K-dramas diha nga fan. And then, L4, limit news intake to reliable sources only. Bawal ang fake news. Kay the more you expose yourselves sa mga fake news, the more ang imong being anxious, anger towards sa bisag kinsa naman lang imuhang mahuna-hunaan, or frustration. So, grabe siya. So, that's why we must limit our, kay, dili man pud pwede nga ato pong i-isolate atong self sa mga information nga angay nato makahibaloan. But be sure to screen and limit news intake to reliable sources only. Bisag sa atong mga bata, apil na siya. Kay matinga ka nganong akong anak kay mag-wild naman lang nag-ahat. Kay it could be ang iyang ginatanaaw pud siguro nga nag-wild. So mo yang makita. So mo na isa, dili ra po na siya applicable sa ato, but it could be applicable sa ato ang family members. F4, feel the air. So, we do breathing in for 5 counts, and breathing out for 7 to 10 counts with a shh sound sa last part while kanang murag nakapout bitaw ang lips. Oh, so ato siyang buhaton, no? So, breathe in ka. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ang sa pag-breathe out, manatag. We make a sound para mapa-exhale, mapagawas nato ang carbon, para mapagawas nato ang atong excess nga air pa outside. So we breathe in 5 counts. If you do this regularly, it will help you kanang manage your stress, maka-relax pud ni siya nimo, and then maka-help siya nga maakay mental focus. So let's repeat. When we do these simple self-care tips, remembering the self, first is to self-encouragement. Second is to embrace ourselves literally. And then L2, limit news intake to reliable sources only, and bawal ang fake news. And then, we fill the air by breathing in deeply and exhaling up to 10 counts while saying, so I tana wala pa mo natulog no while we execute this simple self-care tips. So self-care, it is a self-encouragement to start the day. So muna no, ako na itong nahatag no. These are the examples of self-encouragement words that we could say. Pwede ninyo may screenshot para ma-remember. Today, I choose to be happy. I have the courage to be imperfect. What makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful like a butterfly from being a cocoon. Be the one to say I love you first. Di kay magbagut-but nga wa ko niya giingag I love you but you are not saying I love you also. Let go of who you should be. Be kind to yourself first and love with your whole heart. And you can say for those naka-feel ron nga dili enough ang ilang gipang buhat, you can have this mantra every morning, every day. Pwede every morning upon waking up, I am enough, I am enough. I am enough, I am enough. And before you sleep, you can continue saying, I am enough, I am enough. I did well today. I did well today. So, these positive words will be very helpful for us to remind us of our existence and our importance. So, muna ganihan, no, about the butterfly hug. This is how you do it. By embracing yourself literally. So, you can tap, 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 like a butterfly. Hmm. And then, the L for limiting or avoiding rather fake news. Bawal ang fake news para dili tama tarantar og samot. And then, the feel the air by breathing in and breathing out. So remember always that you cannot give what you do not have. So be generous to yourself and okay, as a maning activity. Okay. Sir Zen, is it possible to do this activity, Sir Zen?
I posted the link, ma'am, sang sa
Okay,
box.
okay. So please go to this link again. Nag-text si Ma'am Love nga struggle ang iyahang signal karon. So just bear with me. Are you still with me? Wa pa mo napulaan ako. I hope wala pa. Og answer nato sa ato ang mga questions og sa ato ang mga activities. I hope you are enjoying the set activities that we have. So I hope you are already done with the activity, no? And then later on, we'll talk more about the school mental health program as we um, as we as we move forward in making our school or our DepEd having a functional mental health program. But first, let's check your knowledge about the National Mental Act. Is this our first time to hear about the National Mental Health Act. So, to continue, why school mental health? Ano importante siya? Aside from being a law, it's very important. As we all know that our functioning also needs our mental health nga well. We must be well. And because the law says so that we need to implement, we are mandated in DepEd to implement the mental health, the school mental health program. So as stipulated in the IRR of RA 11036, the National Mental Health Act of Section 24, Integration of Mental Health into the Educational System, the DepEd is tasked to do the following. One, integrate age-appropriate content pertaining to mental health into the curriculum and all educational levels, both in public and private institutions. Second, to develop guidelines and standards on age-appropriate and evidence-based mental health programs, both in public and private institutions. And to ensure that mental health promotions in public and private educational institutions shall be adequately complemented with qualified mental health. And then it is actually embedded in the six impact programs of Uplan Kalusugan sa DepEd or OK sa DepEd. Actually, from 5 impact programs, na-add na to ang ika-6 ang school mental health program. So, the DepEd Order Number 14, Series 2020, it also entitled Guidelines on the Required Health Standards in Basic Education, Offices, and Schools, wherein the Department of Education aims that is committed to find ways for learning opportunities to be provided while ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of all learners, teachers, and personnel. With in item 14, page 6, the department likewise places priority on the protection and promotion of the mental health and general welfare of all learners and personnel. Interventions to increase mental resilience include the following. One, discussion, facilitation of modules related to mental health within the first week of return to school. That is the time for the provision of psychological first aid, establishment of counseling services through a hotline platform in SDOs, and then operational of a guideline office in every school to provide basic mental health services both to learners and personnel. And lastly, provision of mental health and psychosocial support and debriefing sessions to personnel and the promotion of work-life balance through proper scheduling of activities and rotation of workforce. So, let us be reminded, where is school mental health when it comes to this? So according sa IASC guidelines in 2007, in the provision of mental health and psychosocial support, the PFA provision is here in the level 2, the focused, non-focused, specialized support. Because during disaster, general public general population may be affected by crisis. So in response, ang response ana nato, for example sa LGU and sa family and sa agencies nga mag-provide of basic services and security by fulfilling basic needs and providing security. So for the second level, usually after providing this, naay uban people nga magmanifest og mild psychological distress of natural reactions to crisis like nightmares, dili katulog, walay gana mo kaon. So during this time, Community and family support will be provided by the social workers, mga trained nga mga workers in the LGU to provide psychosocial support activities, or kung in terms po nga nabulag sila sa family, for example, kanang mga balik probinsya nga program, mo ni siya ang pag-provide nga mabalik ang connection with the family and the separated survivor or client. As for the third level or layer of kanang provision of MHPSS, there are some individuals who experience mild to moderate mental health disorders. So it could be an individual or family group. And during this time, the focused non-specialized support, this is the time where we can do the provision of psychological first aid. It could be nga for our learners in the elementary learners, we can provide the play therapy, or using the play as a form of intervention for them. Or for the secondary, we can use the SEAS online or self-guided modules to help our learners na mabalik from mild symptoms nga ilahang gimanifest. It could help them back, maka-bounce back sila to normal due to the pandemic. While the last layer is focusing on the specialized services, wherein professional treatment for individuals or families are given. So, kani siya nga time, mo na yun ni ang kinahanglan nato sila ma-refer to psychologist, psychiatrist, and other mga kung medical ang concerns tungod sa diabetes or hypertension, sa medical doctors during this time. And then, in terms po, in the conduct of the different central office lead activities in response to the pandemic, we have attended orientation on for RO and SDO personnel, regional and schools division personnels on mental health and psychosocial support services in time of COVID-19 last July 2, 2020 via FB Live. Another set of provision of MHPSS to DepEd personnel last July 13 and 14, 2020 via FB Live. And capacity building on the provision of remote PFA to secondary learners using the SEAS modules last July 22 and July 30, wherein all our school heads in the secondary level and school personnel attended the said capacity building activity. And then our regional office also initiated activities like webinar series on COVID-19, mental health and PFA during the pandemic, an overview of the DepEd required activities as presented earlier ni Sir Zen, and reiterated on the different standards or protocols that are required if we open our schools for the incoming opening of classes. So these are the mental resilience interventions from the division office, DepEd Order number 14, Series 2020, wherein we are mandated, number 1, to discuss and facilitate of modules related to mental health within the first week of return to school. So the Schools Division Contra COVID and Pro Mental Health Action or activities must be 1, the use and reproduction of SEAS manual for secondary, while using the play PSS for through play for elementary students. So this must be implemented on the week before class opening or the first week of classes until the second week, according to the DTFC memo number 84 series of 2020. Another mandate given to us by DO 14 series 2020 is the operationalization of a guidance office in every school to provide basic mental health services to learners and personnel. So this is the time that we are emphasizing that aside from providing the needed room for isolation or other mga facilities, isa pud ta na sa ato ang i-prioritize is ang pag-provide og operational nga functional and operational guidance office wherein it could be the center of the mental health services. And if ever wala pa pud naka-assign o guidance designate in a school, now is the high time kay kinsa may magman or magtaw dito sa kinsa may magtaw dito sa guidance office kung wala tay designate ibutang. So through this mandate, the division office conducted regular meeting with key guidance counselors. So ako as mental advocate, together with Ma'am Love as the CGP coordinator pod as well, together with our the 3 registered guidance counselors in the division, nag-help para mag-conduct og regular meeting. One output that we have done was the updated guidelines in guidance and counseling services in response to the new normal, which was presented, by the way, last Friday during the Guidance Services 2.0 webinar together with the other guidance designates and coordinators in the division, including the central school guidance designates. Included in there was the minimum standard health protocols in the guidance office that is needed, and then provision of PPEs and other protective gears for guidance coordinators. In this, since wala tinuod no, in reality walay focus sa ato ang paani sa ato ang budget, so we can look for partners to provide that. Another activity is the establishment of counseling services through a hotline or platform in SDOs. So in partnership with the provincial DRRMO, we have provided remote PFA to some of our learners and teachers who needs help. And hopefully, we can gear towards wherein maka-localize gyud ta sa atong division o activated, because we have a lot of trained PFA providers, so it could be very helpful. Another is the expansion of remote PFA to learners and personnel, and then digitalization of psychosocial assessment tools using the rapid heads for learners and thus for personnel. So it was included during the webinar last time. And then provision of MHPSS and debriefing session for a while lang sa okay, for a while. Another is provision of MHPSS and debriefing sessions to personnel. So it was provided through the trainings conducted by the central office and PFA and MHPSS for personnel. And then another intervention for resilience that we are mandated to do is the promotion of work-life balance through proper scheduling of activities and rotation of activities. So we can just see the contra-COVID checklist and review it as provided by the health and nutrition section. So what is MHPSS? So MHPSS is any type of local or outside support that aims to protect or promote psychosocial well-being and or prevent or treat mental disorder. So one of the services that we can provide in the MHPSS is called the psychological first aid. It is a technique designed to reduce the occurrence of post-traumatic stress disorder with the following principles. One is to look for current situation, look for those who seek support or need, and what are the risks. Second is listen. These are the core principal actions of the PFA. Listen by beginning the conversation, introducing self as the helper, Oh, laban, if facilitator na tapuhon mga teachers, we must first really introduce ourselves. Labaw na if we are doing online or remote provision of PFA. And then, as our client will open up, we need to accept their feelings. Oh, listen lang yun ta, listen and accept their feelings. And lastly, the third core principle or action principles of PFA is the link, which is the accessing of information, tackling practical problems, and accessing services and other help. So this is the time also that we can refer for those who really need referral, especially for those who are kana in distress or makita na yun na to nga kanang naa na gyud problem. So, mo ni siya ang PFA principles, no? We have the look to ensure safety and contact and engagement. Listening during this time to stabilize, gather information regarding current needs and concerns, and support efforts to coping. And then the link, practical assistance, connect to social support, and link with services if they need further management. So this is the CIS manual, or the Supporting, Enabling, and Empowering Students manual on psychosocial interventions for secondary school age. We have an updated one, which is the CIS online and self-guided manual, which will be later on through our division, the RRM. He will be the one to disseminate the copy of this CIS OSG. So in the CIS PFA modules, these are the four main topics that we need to discuss for our secondary learners. So one is in Module 1, validating and normalizing feelings. In Module 2, calming down and controlling one's emotion. And Module 3, linking, identifying, and addressing needs. And Module 4, sources of strength. Because actually, the CIS manuals is following this two response phase. The first phase of the response is the emergency response, and the another response is the recovery phase. So when we say in the emergency response, it is the first 6 months after a disaster, or for example, during the opening of classes, it is the first 6 months after the pandemic or after the quarantine. So mo na siyang upat ang ato ang i-prioritize to provide them, to stabilize our learners, mauning validating, calming down, linking, and identifying. And then the other modules will just follow for the next 6 months to 3 years after a disaster, because this is the recovery phase, while this is the building of resilience phase. So for the remote psychosocial support through play for elementary learners, here are the modules under it. So the play module, I am superhero with feelings. So it contains storytelling, identifying emotions, identifying my own emotions, and then I have my strength. In the second module is a superhero story. So naay activity on puppet making and superhero dance. And then last is the ICAN, or the empowering children in reducing the effects of COVID-19, wherein there's a discussion, storytelling, and hand washing activity. So looking forward in DepEd's psychological first aid program, so mo ni siya ang continuum nato no sa PFA program. So anchored with the PFA core actions, the look, listen, and link, and utilizing the CIS PFA module, either online or self-guided module, and the CCP Sining Galing and the PSS for Play, and in partnership with Unilab. This is the holistic way of providing psychological first aid to our learners for the first 5 days, or for the first week of the before or after the opening of classes. So what are the needed competencies and attributes for a facilitator especially no in providing psychological first aid. Since we cannot do face to face, we are doing either remote or sa online na tano. So number one good ana is to have this digital literacy skills. Dili siguro need nga mahimo tang expert in terms of using the internet or the internet or the virtual platform like ganihan no daghay glitches maguna ang presentation sa gisulti. So part na siya sa ato ang transition period at then part po na siya sa competencies and attributes nato as facilitators nga atong i-embrace literally. And then the remote facilitation skills in terms of providing either online or kato sa self-guided nato nga naa sa manual wherein we must be attentive enough. For example, kung mag-online class, attentive ta sa unsa poy ato ang makita sa ato ang mga students nga ma-feel nila despite the distance, despite being virtual lang, ma-feel nila nga ang connection naa. And then genuineness and patient and caring. So thank you for being patient with me. Bisan og nawala akong presentation ganiha. So these are part of the glitches in doing this virtual activity. So we must embrace it gracefully. So PFA is easy as algae. So we must all remember this algae, the action plan provided during the PSS on using the play. So first A is to assess for risk of suicide or harm. It could be in a form of drawing. It could be in a form of mga postings no sa Facebook or other nga social media nga mag-post og PC, mag-post og kanang mga self-harm nga activities. It could be like that. So that is part of our assessment or just by saying the word nga ganahan ako mamatay, ganahan ako ma-end, please don't take it lightly. If ever man you happen to observe that from your children or imuhang learners, we must not take it lightly, but rather ask them or the right questions para mapangutanan nato unsa kahay nakakos, unsa kahay reason behind nga masulti man to niya or ginabuhat na niya nga mga gimbuhaton. Second is to listen non-judgmentally. In a way, for example, kung the moment nga mo open up na ang students atua, instead of saying, ha, gaoy-oy raman ka, oy, nag-inuoy na pud ka. Instead of kanang doing that, it could help na nadungog na ko ang imuhang gisulti. Sulti pa ko unsa pa kaha ang pasabot nimo ana. Unsa da imuhang nasinati. Those are ways of non-judgmental na listening. Or by repeating again, akong nadungog nga niingon ka mauni. Pwede nimo mas mapasabot pa nako unsay pasabot nimo ani. So those are ways of showing that you are actively listening to what he or she is saying. And then give reassurance and information. For example, kung sa imong nadungog sa imong learner, sayop na gyudaan siya nga information, ayaw siya directly nga, ay di gina mao. But pwede ra kamo state nga based sa DOH nga mandate, mao ni siya ang protocol nga ato ana. Do it in a kanang right manner nga dili pud siya offensive or dili pud siya intrusive sa other person. E is to encourage. Encourage appropriate professional help. Labaw na katong mga red flags nga atong giingon nga kung 2 weeks or beyond na nato na sinati, dili makatulog, magsigirag damgo, dili na halos mukaon. Those are already red flags. Or naa na siya mga huna-huna nga nagdamgo nga nagtiwakal, ana, eventually na ay mga ingon ana nga mga panghuna-huna. And then E, encourage self-help and other support strategies. Like, remember the simple self-care tips that we have, you can promote that one. Bisag i-practice na sa office or among sa learners, like every morning, para mahimo na nilang habit, that's a good encouragement for self-help help, and other support. So that's it. Thank you. Wala radamhano nga pa humana ta di ay hapit sa ato ang presentation. So always remember that there's no health without mental health, and there's no quality education without sound-minded learners and personnel as well. Kay basig nagsige ra tag huna-huna about sa ato ang learners, but wala na ta ka-aware nga kanang gamay nang daay kulang sa ato ang personnel. So we must also encourage yun kay dili gid siya quality education without a sound mind among sa ato ang learners and personnel. So let's promote kontra COVID and iHeart mind health. So thank you for bearing with me. Tanag na anas Ma'am Love Love. Sir Zen?
Okay, thank you for that, Ma'am Osang. And that was Ma'am Rosanna Duran, one of our coordinators for one of the programs under Oplan Kalusugan sa DepEd. Okay. Kukunin ko po yung screen, Ma'am Sang.
Yep, oo. Part sa glitches gud no, dugay gud kay mo pa ng internet.
Well, ganun po talaga yan.
Yeah, okay.
That's part of the new normal. Ika nga. Okay, once again, let's give a big virtual hand to our presenter for this particular topic, Ma'am Rosanna G. Duran. And of course, let's also give a hand to Ma'am Loverose Joy Antigua. Unfortunately po, hindi po nakapag-join si Ma'am Loverose Antigua. It's because of technical difficulties, just like what Ma'am Duran said kanina. This is part of the new normal. May mga tao talaga na hindi makakapunta or magkaka-technical difficulties because of mga internet connection and whatnot. So again, thank you for that, Ma'am Osang. Before we press on further, I would like to read some comments on the comment box. So thank you, Ma'am Rosanna, for sharing your expertise. Thank you, Ma'am Rosanna, from Ma'am Jovi Suson. And we also have Ma'am Farah Phil Cervantes expressing her thanks for Ma'am Osang. And of course, Ma'am Chona also responded by saying, thank you, Ma'am Rosanna, for sharing your expertise. Ma'am Gina said, thanks, Ma'am Rosanna. Okay, so moving on further, the time now is 3:23. We are actually on time with our activity. So isa pong masigabong palakpakan, hindi po tayo nag-extend ng time with our time allotment. So with that, moving on to the next part is the open forum. So we will be allotting 5 minutes for the open forum. So kung may questions kayo with regards to the two sessions discussed, which is the basic or the legal policies, with basic guidelines or legal basis for the conduct of the activity, and Mind Over COVID Matters, you may express yourself para ma-recognize mo and maka-ask mo sa inyong respective questions. Do you have any questions po? We have 5 minutes allotment for the open forum. Or kung unsa may gusto niyo i-express with regards sa particular activity, you may also do that as well. Thanks, sir. So may comments po ba? If none, you may also reserve your questions, or you can ask your questions on the second day na po para po we can proceed further and of course not waste any more time. So moving on, pressing on further po is the attendance and evaluation. So giving you a copy of this link as reflected po in the screen. So this will serve as your attendance for the activity proper. So, okay. Ma'am Rosemary Sausal questioned, are the modules accessible to all, or can we have a PDF copy? Ma'am Osang, do you have an answer for this?
Oh, I will just reiterate. Actually, na-ask ko na last Friday with Ma'am Osang during the guidance services forum last Friday. Yes, we for secondary we already have the SIS online and self-guided module in PDF form. We just give Sir Sir Jamel, the division DRRM coordinator, the authority over those modules, including the COVID-19 comics for the play therapy or session for our learners.
So if I'm not mistaken, Ma'am Osang, Sir Jamil Sakar is the one in charge for the
Yes po.
PFA.
Yes po.
So, the
MHPSS.
MHPHS. Tapos, yung health and nutrition section po is the one
Will assist.
supplementing and
Yes po.
augmenting the particular program. Okay.
Yes po.
So, Ma'am Rosemary Sausal already signified her gratitude for answering the question. So, please, Ma'am Jeanette Sacote commented that please send us a soft copy. Thanks. For the particular topics po, the soft copies for all of the discussion as well as the videos will be sent over to you after all of the 3 days have been conducted. Pero if you're referring to the PFA modules, I think Ma'am Osang already answered that Sir Jamel Sakar has the authority over the modules and its distribution.
And then to add, Sir Zen, I think if I'm not mistaken, within this week or next week, they will be providing a division memorandum on how to reproduce the as guideline on the reproduction of the PFA. I think Ma'am Love and Sir Jamil are already drafting the memo.
So that's it. Additional info from Ma'am Rosanna Duran. So let's just wait and see for the memorandum na ma-circulate sa atong respective districts in regards to PFA and MHPSS. Okay, any other questions? Okay, moving on. Attendance and evaluation proper. So the link is posted on your screens. This is also the chat box already contains also the link. Sorry, mabulol gyud ko. Contains also the link for the attendance and evaluation form. So kindly send your respective evaluation for this particular day. This will serve as the basis para sa inyong digital certificates. So at the end of the 3rd day, dito na po ta magkuha sa atong digital certificates. Okay? So that's it. HTTPS, tinyurl.com na lang po. tinyurl.com/iheartshday1. So once again, the link for the attendance and evaluation is tinyurl.com/iheartshday1. Okay, if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, you may ask Sir, 4 ang highest rate or 1? I haven't checked actually. Teka lang po. Okay. Turn for the webinar. Okay. I think it's walang naka-indicate. Okay, 4 yung pinakamataas po. 4 is the highest and 1 is the lowest po. I think. Yes, it's 4 is the highest po. Sorry, one of the technical difficulties po. Okay. I think we will be So with that, additional info lang po. We will be allotting 2 more minutes for the evaluation. Madali lang po yan. After that, we will have our closing prayer. So we are still on time, 3:30 p.m. po. The time is 3:28. So the filling up of the evaluation and attendance will be the basis for the certificates, for your digital certificates.
Okay, and the time now is 3:30 p.m. So we are now officially done with our conduct for the first day of iHeart School Health Day 1. Masigabong palakpakan para sa lahat. Thank you for attending, everyone. We have successfully conducted this activity. A big thanks to all of our facilitators and all of our cohorts from the SGOT Health and Nutrition section for listening in with us, and also especially to our respective speakers, Ma'am Rosanna Duran, and of course Ma'am Loveros Joy Antigua, and yours truly Zenon G. Hernandez, and Ma'am Gwendolyn T. More. And of course, let us not forget, tomorrow is another day. So we are now done with day 1, and of course, following that will be our day 2, which is Respetiquette, Respiratory Health Readiness and Basic COVID Preventive Measures, which is our featured topic for that particular day. Same time po tayo, 1:30 p.m. po tayo mag-start sa ating activity. But take note po, you will be given a different link for the conduct of the activity. Once again, I will be giving a different link for the conduct of the activity po. So I will be sending that particular link very early in the morning through your district supervisors po. So thank you for our respected district supervisors for facilitating the sending of this link, and of course in joining your respective representatives for attending this particular event. Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you po, mga sirs. So tomorrow, once again, kita-kits po tayo, 1:30 p.m. po, dito sa virtual lobby ng DepEd Agusan del Norte School Health and Nutrition Section. Thank you once again and have a good day. God bless everyone.
Karon pag ka na ako nakitaan, Ma'am Jobe. Ayaw pa ng piling. Ako na, butterfly hug. Smile. Ay naman sila bili og si Kuan Oy. Di man ako makita siya na.
Hi, Chit.
My
Gita.
friend! I miss you, my friend! Kailan pa kaya tayo magkatagpo muli?
Pabalikan na lang si Kobe.
Mao gani ni COVID oy, hay naman ni garaon man ni friend.
Lagi, oy. Hindi na ka mag-attendance pa ko. Bye-bye.
Hi, Ma'am Jean. Thank you for attending, Ma'am Jean, Ma'am Esther, Ma'am Eliasa. Maraming salamat po. Sir Victor, thank you for attending po.
Thanks po, Zen. Salamat, Zen.
Sir Zen,
Sino po po? Sir Danny Bahaw, thank you. Thank you for attending po. Sino po? Anyway, thank you po. You may still fulfill the attendance and evaluation po accordingly. Maraming salamat once again for attending the our activity. See you tomorrow po.
Sir Zen.
Thank you, Zen. Salamat.